As-Salaam Alaikum and welcome to another fantastic episode of your favorite podcast, the Rise Magazine podcast. This is the visual and audible representation of the greatest magazine on the planet Earth, smashing records all over the world. None other than the Rise Magazine itself helping you to rise to the peak of greatness. Today we have an absolutely fantastic program set out for you as always, but before we start, you already know we have got to open up in prayer, calling on the God. So please, at this time, please assume whatever position of prayer you find most comfortable, and we pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path. Path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path upon whom thy wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen. All praise is due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I witness that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all once again in the greeting words of peace of As-Salaam Alaikum. My name is Brother Hashim, as many of you who may be returning viewers I may already know, and I'll be helping to moderate this absolutely wonderful discussion we're going to be having today with Ministry of Defense. But before I get ahead of myself, I say this every episode, I've got to turn it over to our wonderful, illustrious, hard-hitting editor of Rise Magazine, directed and appointed by the man himself, Student Regional Minister Abdul Muhammad, Sister Aziza Muhammad. At this time, I turn it over to you.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Hashim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. And I'd like to greet all of our viewers in the greeting words of peace of As-Salaam Alaikum. And thank you so much for tuning into the Rise Magazine podcast. I'm really excited today because, as Brother Hashim mentioned, we have the Ministry of Defense coming to share some great words with us. But before getting started, I really would like to thank Student Regional Minister Abdul Muhammad, who is the founder and CEO of Rise Magazine and the Rise Magazine podcast. So we greatly thank him for the ability to have this platform to really express ourselves unedited, in the best manner, but unedited. And praise be to Allah for that, because there's a lot to learn, a lot to be said. And so we hope that all the viewers thoroughly enjoy this episode. Also, another thing that I would like to mention is please support Rise Magazine. You can go to www.risemagazineco.com. We have our newest issue out, the July issue, so please visit www.risemagazineco.com to get more information about how you can order it, how you can take out a subscription, how you can take out an advertisement if you have a business, and other ways that you can keep in contact and up to date with all things Rise Magazine. And so without further ado, we're going to get straight into it. Today we have our guest, Brother Jaquaris X, and he'll be sharing some really fundamental information with us today about the Ministry of Defense and a little bit about himself. So, As-Salaam Alaikum, Brother Jaquaris.
Walaikum salam, man.
Praise be to Allah. We're happy to have you. If you can just briefly tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, what do they need to know about Brother Jaquaris before they know about the Ministry of Defense?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I want to start by saying, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, and witness there is no God but Allah, Muhammad is his messenger. I thank you all for this opportunity you presented to me to be on this wonderful podcast, and I thank Minister Regional Abdul Sharrieff Muhammad for the opportunity as well. And a little bit about myself is that I'm 24 years old. I'm a young brother striving, entrepreneur and building. I have a family. I have a daughter who's 2 years old, soon to be 3, and I've been studying the teachings for, 4 to 5 years, and Islam has completely changed my life because, to be honest, I was actually, in the streets and, lost and, going down the wrong path, and, I found Islam, and it's helped me do a whole 180 and change my life for the better. And I thank Allah who came in the person of Master Muhammad for that.
Wow, praise to Allah. That was a really beautiful introduction, heavy introduction. Thank you so much for that, Brother Jaquaris. And so for the first question that we do have for you is, how did you become involved in the Ministry of Defense here in the Southern region?
Well, becoming involved in the Ministry of Defense here in the Southern region, me, myself, personally, I've always wanted to be a soldier. And, the minister asked us to ask our parents what were they going through during the time that they conceived us. And I asked my mother, and at the time she wanted to go to the military. And I said, wow, praise be to Allah, because that is, the field that I'm interested in. And by Allah's grace and mercy, blessed to represent the Ministry of Defense here. So, being a soldier for Allah, which is the greatest task that could ever be, given to any of us human beings that are living, that's what led me to be in the Ministry of Defense, to be able to defend our people, to be able to protect our people, and to be able to serve, most importantly.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. And for everyone who may be unfamiliar with the Ministry of Defense, we're going to go ahead and read the definition of it and you can find this at noi.org. And so you can also read it right here on the screen. And the Ministry of Defense ensures the safety, security, and survival of the society and its members, and develops policies and systems relating to the national security of the society, beginning with ensuring safe and decent local neighborhoods. It is also charged with enchantment and protection of military and intelligence assets, structures, and institutions. Praise be to Allah. That's a heavy definition, beautiful ministry to be a part of. And so to go on to the next question, what made you want to be involved in the Ministry of Defense? What's something that really caught your interest about it?
Well, something that really caught my interest is, before I started studying the teachings, I was thinking about going to the military, and I was thinking about, pursuing a career in the military. And when I found out, the minister said, we shouldn't join our open enemy's army, but instead we should become soldiers for Allah. And when the opportunity to be presented came to me to be in the Ministry of Defense and represent the Ministry of Defense, it was like Allah answering all my prayers by not going to the open enemy's military, but by being able to serve in Allah's military, in a military ministry, which is the Ministry of Defense.
Praise be to Allah. That was a beautiful answer. Thank you, Brother Jaquaris. And to take us into our next question, we'll have Brother Hashim. So Brother Hashim, if you can come on in and ask the next question to Brother Jaquaris.
Praise be to Allah. And I do want to just say, because Brother Jaquaris, I'm loving your demeanor, man. I do want to say it's very, very regal, very poised, very civilized, and it's almost, it suits the Ministry of Defense because it's civilized, but it's kind of intimidating too. To like it's really good. I'm digging the vibe that you're giving me right now. But let's go ahead. I'm going to ask you my question, bro. So we just read, of course, the definition for the Ministry of Defense, but in your own words, because people need to know, like, who is this brother? Why is he in charge of Ministry of Defense? So in your own words, what is the purpose of the Ministry of Defense, and how can we relate that to the number one work of resurrecting the dead?
Okay, so the purpose of the Ministry of Defense, in my own words, is accept your own and be yourself, for starters. And once we accept our own and be ourselves, then we must be able to protect the knowledge that we are obtaining. We must be able to protect the building structures and assets that we shall obtain from the knowledge that we are obtaining once we accept our own and be ourselves. And also, most importantly, the children, the youth, the future generations, we have to be able to put institutions, we have to be able to put plans in motion, and we have to be able to produce our own for the youth, so they don't have to go through the same things that our past generations went through and that we're currently going through, in order to, create a nation of our own. So once we break the generational curses and break these cycles, and our youth get the teachings, and our youth are able to be themselves, accept your own to be yourself, then you'll start to see it change from a young age all the way up, because everything starts with the mother. We must protect our women. We must protect everything that we do, and especially the Black woman, because the Black woman has been abused so much to the point that our children are being affected by the abuse that's going on with the Black woman. See, every other nation is able to protect their woman. Every other nation is able to protect their buildings, their assets, their schools, what they're being taught, but the Black man and woman. And once we learn to do so, and it's very important that we do implement in doing so, because it's, I'm sorry, my daughter just passed. I apologize, but yes, it's very important that we start to build, protect, and learn to accept our own and be ourselves.
Praise be to Allah. And also, Brother Perez, tell us a little bit about what the Ministry of Defense is planning. You don't have to spill all the secrets, but give us a little bit so we know, you're up to something. Tell us what you know.
Okay, yes, sir. Well, most importantly, we're working on spiritual development because, through spiritual development and, the events that we have on the spiritual side of the Ministry of Defense, that is what shall, lead us into developing everything in the physical because everything starts within the mind. You shall be renewed by the renewal of your mind, which scripture says. So we're working on a lot of things in the spiritual development side, but also in the physical. We must be physically trained and we must be, become that military to be able to protect ourselves. So we're working on, virtual workout sessions. We're working on, virtual martial arts sessions where we have black belts that are trained in martial arts that will be instructing classes virtually for those who are not able to meet in person. And that way we can mirror what we're seeing and we'll be getting together every, I say 2 to 3 months and practicing what we've been doing on these virtual martial arts training programs. And, we'll continue to do that in the physical, but most importantly, we're working on spiritual development.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. And I don't want to, and sisters, these are, forgive, I don't want to I don't want to go on a tangent, but one more. Tell us, brother, because you said spiritual development, because a lot of people, when they think of defense, they think on the physical. Go into depth a little bit more into the spiritual aspect of the Ministry of Defense and why that aspect is also just as important as the physical.
Yes, sir. All praise due to Allah. The spiritual aspect of the Ministry of Defense is literally majority of the Ministry of Defense because without the proper thinking, without the proper understanding of things, and without the knowledge of self, the knowledge of God, and the knowledge of the devil, then we don't even know where to start. We wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know how to move. But with these three knowledges that I just stated, knowledge of self, who you are, knowledge of God, who is the Most High, who is Allah, and the knowledge of devil, our open enemy, then we can begin to build and see and come up with plans and ideas and implement them in the proper manner and the proper context to develop and build a nation of our own.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Brother Perez. Beautifully answered. And I'm not going to do it. I could ask another one, but the sisters be studying jujitsu in class and everything, and I still have to go to Atlanta sometimes, so I don't want no smoke. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Sister Aziza.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Jaquaj, for your answers. My question is, you're really open and honest about just your upbringing, or not your upbringing, but your experience. You said that you spent some time during the streets. If you can just explain how your experience with that connects with you being a part of the Ministry of Defense, what are some things that you've seen in that outside world that you thought to yourself, okay, I'm going to make sure that I protect my people and I help, defend them because I know what it's like to be on that side. So if you can explain a little bit about that.
Praise to Allah. I thank you for actually asking that question because most of the time I don't really get to talk about, that side of things and, my past, I would say my past self because I'm not that person anymore. And I thank Allah for that. But some things that I've seen growing up is, our people, especially, our adults leading the youth in the wrong direction. But it's not because of the things that they want to do, it's because that's what they've seen growing up. That is what, our open enemy is forcing us into certain situations and circumstances to be, grow up in these type of environments to where we grow up into the streets, we join the gangs, and we see that our only way out is to sell drugs and rob people and do these type of things. Like, but once you come into the teachings and you realize that there's more to life than what your eyes are able to see, because most people can't see past their current situation, and we have to break that cycle of people seeing past their current situation because we are in control. Our past does affect our present, but our present will let us know what our future will bring if we focus our attention on changing and being better in the present. So I would say I've done, so many things in the streets from joining gangs to, I was being a leader as far as, in the wrong aspect, as far as me doing things early at an early age, 12 and 13, hanging out with people that's in their 20s, 30s, that's, involved in criminal activities and things of that nature. So I would go to my friends and tell my friends because I'm thinking this is the right way, or this is the way that we have to do for our family and things of that nature. I'm going to them telling them like, hey, I gotta wait for us to get some money, or hey, I gotta wait for us to help grandma with the bills because it was very hard when I was growing up. And my friends, they would start doing what I was doing, but by the grace and mercy of Allah, out of all of my friends and people that I grew up with, I was the first one to accept Islam. So the same way that I, went to them and showed them things in the wrong manner, Allah blessed me to be the one that bring them the truth and the teachings in the right manner. So I thank Allah for that.
Wow, praise be to Allah. That was a beautiful answer. Thank you so much for that.
Praise
And I
be to
also
Allah.
want to mention, just with Islam in general, really changes a person, really elevates them. You can go from being in a state of, being lost into a state of really understanding yourself better. So, for the next question, can you explain what are some ways that Islam has changed your life for the better?
Thank you for this question as well. All of the questions that you guys have asked have been wonderful. But Islam has changed my life in every way. I can't tell you a way that Islam has not changed my life. And so I can sit here and talk about this question until the show is finished, but I'm gonna give you a couple ways as far as how Islam has changed my life. And personally, Islam has changed my life in a way that, making me a better person. Because the person that I was growing up, I knew I wanted to be help people. I knew I wanted to be a leader, but I had to learn things, and I knew I wanted to be a person that served others to be better. But I went through that path, and I went for those things in the wrong aspect, in the wrong manner. But Islam has helped me find a way to do everything that I wanted to do when I was younger, but in the right manner, in the proper context. So that's one way Islam has changed my life. Islam has helped me become a better father because people when they have children, most people they just pass the children what they learn and don't take the time with the children and don't take the time to help the children. As the minister say, a father's job is to teach your children to go farther than you're able to go. So I'm able to do that as a father, and that's one of the best feelings ever. And Islam has changed my life as far as being a better brother, being a better student, being a better person, which I stated, being a better son because I was causing my mother a lot of trouble when I was in the streets because she was really worried about me and she was worried about what can happen to me. She telling me you don't need to do this and do that, but I'm like, Mom, I see people doing this and getting money and getting their families out of this situation that we're in. But now I'm able to do that and focus on doing that, but in the proper context. So I thank Allah for that. And that's another way that Islam has helped change my life. But like I stated before, there isn't no way Islam hasn't affected my life in a positive manner.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Jaquaz, I'm really enjoying your answers. They're really detailed and just so interesting to hear. So thank you so much. So for the next question, you mentioned that you have a daughter. Can you explain just things that you may see going on right now, especially in the world? There's a lot of killings, there's a lot of violence, especially directed to Black men and Black women as well. That's not always documented. And you being a part of the Ministry of Defense, when you see these things or when you're witnessing, maybe through watching the news or through reading about an incident in the newspaper, what effect can that have on a young father who has a young daughter, and what energy does that give to change that situation?
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Well, first, myself, I want to say it gives me the drive to, go out into my community, go out in my neighborhood, and go out in the world and, try to make the world a better place. Because when you have children, you don't want your children to grow up in a world that is not good for them. You want your children to grow up in a world that's gonna produce the best outcome for themselves, and a world that encourages them to submit to the Most High. And that's the number one thing that motivates me, as being a father, to try to go out here and change the world and be better and serve Allah in the capacity that I can serve Allah. And being in the ministry of defense and the things that I see in the world, it's like, it's not getting better just yet, because we have to go through things in order for it to get better. So that means we have to be on the front line as men and change ourselves. And we have to go out into the community in unity. We have to go out into our neighborhoods in unity. And we have to stand up against this open enemy in unity together. So we have to put our differences to the side. And it makes me want to tell, black men especially, and to that, let's not argue about what we have that's different. Let's come together on what we all have in common. And in doing so, we can build a better world for our children. So that's what I see being in the Ministry of Defense, and also being a young black father for our children, because they are our future. Even when we're, passed away and gone, our children will still be here, and we want to produce, and we want to try to produce the best possible outcome and the best possible environment for them to grow up in, so that their children and their children can be better off than we are. Like I stated before, the minister said that father's job is to teach our children to go farther than we're able to go in life.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for that response. One more question before I hand it over to Brother Hashim for another question. And that question is, for those who really look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and study the work that he does, not judging by, what's put out in the media or negative things that are spoken about, but if you really look into the work that he's done and look online, you'll see him with our people. And he just has sacrificed so much for our people. And what influence did that have for you when maybe learning about Islam or, coming into the nation? What influence did the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have on your life and seeing the work that he does and continues to do?
Praise to Allah. Wonderful question again. But the work that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done has been such an inspiration for myself, because, when I tell myself, hey, I can always do more. Looking at the minister, it's like a mirror, or it's like, a model for the right way to go, because, the minister has done so much and is still continuing to do so much. And, me being young, I'm like, there's no way I could possibly get tired. There's no way I could possibly say that I've done enough. There's no way I could possibly say that, hey, your job is done. Because when you look at the minister and the work that he's doing, it's like I said, the minister is just, so impactful on my life in a way that, he motivates me in every way.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much. All right, Brother Hashim, you can go ahead and ask the next question.
Praise be to Allah. And I gotta ask you for the prayers, because me and you, oh man, I got a pain in my chest. Me and you, whenever we get to talk, we've been getting kind of riled up about some things. But I wanted to ask you, because you was talking a lot about past and how that implements of what you're doing now. But in our communities today, we see a lack of change. So this is the question I want to ask you. What is it? What is the characteristics, or what type of heart does it take amongst us, particularly as men, but women as well, in order to make the change in our communities? And tell me, what are some of the characteristics that are holding us back from being able to do that? Go into that a little bit.
Okay, yes, sir. As black men, well, as men in general, we all, have that dominant, trait to want to be, a leader, to want to be, involved. And we got to get rid of that trait and accept all of us are students. And we have to get rid of jealousy. We have to get rid of envy. We have to get rid of these things and install love in ourselves. Because we have to, once you establish self-love, then you're able to love your brother. But if you don't love yourself, because maybe your current situation, or maybe what you're going through, or maybe you don't look at yourself in the manner that you should, or maybe you just don't know yourself. See, we have to get to know ourselves in a proper context in order to love ourselves and to love our brother. Because the minister said we should want for our brother what we want for ourselves. And that is a characteristic, I say, the number one characteristic, which is knowledge of self and love that we should have going out with our people. Because those two characteristics alone, we shall unite off of those characteristics. Once you want for your brother what you want for yourself, the unity is there. So once we, understand and learn these things and get rid of these diseases of the heart, then I feel like, we'll begin to put more boots on the ground. We'll begin to, come together more, pull our resources, work on the economic blueprint plan that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has set out for us. We'll begin to do these things, and we'll really see us building on the level that we should be building and connecting on the level that we should be connecting. Because once we put Allah at the center of our lives, then we instantly form a brotherhood under His name.
I got one more question for you, bro, because a lot of the problems that we face in our community is because of a misdirection of that warrior spirit that a lot of young brothers got. They're tough, they big men, but I mean, God, they all that beautiful strength is directed, towards their own people. So go into how, firstly, for you personally, how it was redirected for you, but how do we redirect that warrior spirit in a lot of these young men for the positive, and what effect? Go into what effect will it have when it's redirected from a negative aspect point, and then brought to a more positive aspect?
I'll praise you to Allah. Thank you for that question, brother Hashim. Well, for me personally, anything I do, I say I really put, my all into it. So it's like that energy that I had when I was in the streets and doing wrong, I just refocused myself in a positive direction. So the same amount of energy I was putting in the streets, I redirected it once I got the teaching into putting it into something positive. And as far as our community, I would say that we need more examples, and we need to be, better at being examples. All of us that have these teachings, and all of us that have knowledge of self and knowledge of our open enemy and knowledge of who Allah God is, we need to work on being a better example, because the people, and especially the young people, we can't teach to them, there's a God within yourself if they don't see a God within us first. Mm-hmm. So they have to see the God within us first in order to see the God within themselves. So we have to work on being a mirror for our people. And I would say also providing more things to do that's positive for our people in the community, providing different outlets for financial, crisis that's going on, because a lot of our people don't want to be doing what they're doing. And I can speak for self. When I was younger, I didn't want to do what I was doing because I always had a good heart. I don't want to do that, but I did it because, financially, we were struggling. I felt like that was the right way to go. But if we provide ways to, financially set our people free, and our people can focus on doing what they really want to do, because our nature is the nature of Allah. Our nature is righteousness. So once we're, set free from that financial burden and financial grip that the enemy has on us, I feel like our people will naturally come up out of that. And, with the teachings, we're able to promote positive things. So I feel like we need to go in the communities and show them positive examples for one. We need to go in the communities and offer solutions to a lot of the problems that's in our communities, which we have all of the solutions in the teachings. But we have to be a better example at showing those solutions that we have in the teachings.
Right. Beautiful answers, bro. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Man, you do. Yeah, she's everybody's gonna tell you that, but you really did a wonderful job today, bro. So hats off to you, and encore. So, as we come in to a close, I'm gonna go ahead and turn over to our wonderful editor-in-chief and close comments he has to say.
Yes, praise be to Allah. Just going back to Brother Jaquar's, your answers were really profound, and I'm enjoying listening to them. Kind of want to keep going, but I know we're on limited time. But I do have one more question for you, and that is, you come from a place that has a lot of rich culture, a lot of history, a lot of just beauty, a really beautiful place. You can explain more to the people where that place is, but can you explain or maybe say something that you would like to say to your community about whether maybe the teachings or about a Ministry of Defense or about, the minister or the messenger? Something that you feel they can really take from your words and from your story? What's something you want to share with your community?
Praise to Allah. I want to say that, my father was born actually in Haiti. My grandparents were born in Haiti. My whole father's side, they were born in Haiti and then come here till they was like maybe 16, 17. So, I learned to have those deep roots of family at an early age. And I feel like to our community, we need to take those deep roots of family and instill that and have enough love to change, because a lot of people in our community are so stuck in our ways that we don't want to change, because change is scary. Because, speaking on personal experience, not knowing is, that can be a tough feeling when you don't know your situation. But we can either choose to struggle to be better, or we can struggle not trying to change and be in our current situation, which we know the outcome of. So I would like to just say, accept your own and be yourself, and, come together as one, and don't be afraid to change, because that is the number one problem in the community, as Black people, and especially in the Haitian community. We are afraid of change because we're so used to being in, living the way that we've lived for so long, and it's been passed down for so long that the older generations are saying that you have to eat this, you have to do this, you have to live this way. But as soon as you say you want to change, it's a rebellion. But I would say we need a righteous rebellion as far as being stuck in a custom way, because our ways that we have that are, custom, they're not really working for ourselves, and they're not, teaching us the proper knowledge that we need to be better and build a nation of our own, a successful nation of our own, that I may add, because it's just a lot that we have to do, and it starts with self. So if you're able to change yourself, you're able to change your community, your neighborhood. You go from that and just build. So I would like to say, just get out of the customs and don't be afraid to change.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Jaquaz, for joining us, for your profound answers. I thank a lot for the beauty of this interview. I learned a lot from it in that short amount of time. So I really thank Allah for using you to just inform people of things they may not have known. So thank you so much, Brother Jaquaz. Thank you, Brother Hashim, for helping and assisting with being co-host. And I really want to thank Student Regional Minister Abdul Muhammad for giving us this platform and allowing us to have a place to really voice what it is we have to say. And so please, everyone, support Rise Magazine. Go to www.risemagazineco.com. Once again, that's www.risemagazineco.com. And some of the things that we spoke about today, specifically on Brother Jaquar's last answer, was he spoke a little bit about his community, his people. And with Rise Magazine, we really try to bridge the gap between people. So not everyone who reads Rise Magazine may be an English speaker, and so we really try to connect people of all walks of life with the articles that are written, with the interviews that we do with people, with the different languages that we incorporate within the magazine. So, for example, for every issue of the magazine, we have translations in French, we have translations in Arabic and Spanish, and this just really gives people the opportunity to read it in their native tongue and understand that, this message of Islam is universal and it's for everyone. And so it's really important to have publications to really bridge the gap, the communication gap between people. And so I wanted to mention that about Rise Magazine. Once again, please support www.risemagazineco.com. Once again, thank you so much, Brother Jaquaris. Thank you, Brother Hashim. And I do have a few more points before I close out. And another thing that I want to say is We spoke about the Ministry of Defense and the work that's being done and what it represents. For everyone who may be interested in conflict resolution and community patrol, we have a place that's been crafted by Student Minister Sharrieff, which is called the ARC, and it's located on 3638 Campbellton Road Southwest. For anyone who is in the city of Atlanta, and it's on the screen. Once again, that's 3638 Campbellton Road Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia. And that's for people who may be interested in conflict resolution. You can come there, get assistance with that. There's a variety of businesses within the ARC, but conflict resolution is one. 10,000 Fearless Community Patrol. And if you have any questions, please call the number on the screen, which is 404-963-1078. And that's really to help our communities. By Allah's grace, Student Minister Sharrieff, he had the 10,000 Fearless, he has, not had, the 10,000 Fearless headquarters of the South, and it's expanding to many different places. And so another location is at the ARC that the 10,000 Fearless are working and incorporating new ideas and different things to really assist our people and give our people protection and help in a place or in a society where, we really don't get that, specifically as Black people. And so if you're having any issues, any problems, if you need assistance, please call the number on the screen. If we can put that up again, it's 404-963-1078. Thank you all so much for watching. May Allah bless us all. As-Salaam Alaikum, and I'll hand it back over to you, Brother Hashim.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you all for joining us for another fantastic episode of the Rise Magazine podcast. Brothers Greats, thank you. Greatly appreciate you, family. And for all those watching, thank you, sir. For all those watching, be sure to support us. You can cash app us, $, Rise Magazine. That's $, Rise Magazine. We appreciate your views so much. We appreciate all the love, spiritual support, but we're not spiritual beings. We're physical beings. We need money. So please support us financially. All right. We appreciate you. We greatly appreciate it. That's $, Rise Magazine. Be sure to go to www.abdulsharrieffmuhammad.com and get all of the wonderful books by our wonderful student regional minister. That's www.abdulsharrieff.com. You can see it scrolling right there. Some of you may need glasses, but if you need them, whip them on. You can see it right there. It's scrolling at the bottom. Be sure to get all the wonderful books by our beloved regional minister. All right, family. So we love you all. This has been an absolutely fantastic episode of the Rise Magazine podcast. Be sure to join us same time every Wednesday, 5:30. Love you all. This is your favorite podcast, and you know it. Don't lie to yourself. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and close out as we opened in prayer. So please assume whatever position of prayer you find most comfortable, and we pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone we worship, neither do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path upon whom thy wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray. Amen. Praise be to Allah. As-Salaam Alaikum.